Hey everyone, Neil Flister, Senior Product Manager here at Poly, and I wanted to create a quick video on the Poly Studio. The product's been out now for a little while, but there still seems to be a little bit of confusion exactly what it is and what it's not. So I'm going to do a quick video to go through some of those FAQs and hang around to the end and I'll let you into a little bit of a secret. So let's get into it. Here it is, the Poly Studio. Now, the first thing I want to answer is exactly what it is. Now, the easiest and simplest way of thinking about the Poly Studio is it's a USB webcam. Now, it is a lot more than just a USB webcam, but that answers a lot of the questions that I get asked, and it absolutely helps you understand exactly what the Poly Studio is and where it fits and what you need to have in the kind of meeting room. So think of it like a USB webcam. Now, one of the real big driving forces on the Poly Studio is its audio capabilities. Polycom and Plantronics have been renowned for our audio capabilities. Headsets, microphones, speakerphones. Audio is fundamental to our solutions, and the Poly Studio is no exception to that. Now, we fitted this out with some really high-powered speakers and 6 microphones in there. So although it's really designed for a small to medium-sized huddle room, the actual audio output you get from this is pretty phenomenal. It will fill a large room, really high-power audio, and really sounds great in any kind of meeting space. Will it work with Zoom? Will it work with Microsoft Teams? Will it work with Skype? Will it work with BlueJeans? The answer to all of those questions is essentially yes. Whatever software you happen to be running on your PC or on your Mac that you've got the Studio connected to, it will essentially work with as a USB peripheral, as a USB camera, microphone and speaker device. So if you're using Teams, if you're using WebEx, if you're using Zoom or using the BlueJeans client on your PC, the Studio can be used as your video camera, your microphone and your speaker source. And you can bring whatever application, whatever codec you want via your PC or Mac into the meeting room. Let's talk about the camera on the Studio. So a 4K sensor in the Studio, 3840 by 2160 pixels to play with. We use the middle 1080p, the 1920 by 1080p resolution of that sensor. So we can then zoom up to 5 times without losing any resolution or losing any pixel data and still get a great picture quality. We can also pan and tilt and zoom that image around that 4K sensor to give us great capabilities without any mechanics in the solution. So very, very simple but very effective way of being able to pan, tilt and zoom. The other big difference and big differentiator is the actual width or the focal length of the camera. So 120-degree field of view on the sensor within the Studio. So great if you've got smaller huddle rooms and you've got people sitting very, very close to the display. The focal field of view of the camera will allow them to be seen when sitting very close to the Studio and the display. So let's talk about some of the added intelligence that we put inside the Studio. Now, we've got two production rules, two video production rules that we've added into the Studio. The first one being group framing. Now, some of our competition are doing group framing, but they're doing it via a separate software app that you have to install on the local PC, which means if you haven't got the software installed, you don't get framing. It's also quite slow from what we've seen on some of the competitors' products. Now, we put the intelligence actually inside the hardware of the Studio. So it doesn't matter what PC or laptop or Mac you connect up to the Studio, you'll get that framing and you'll get that tracking. And let's talk a little bit about that tracking as well, because as well as framing, the Studio has the ability to do speaker tracking. So it will actually pinpoint and zoom into each one of the individual speakers as they speak within the conversation and in the meeting and bring them front and center into the conversation. So group framing and speaker tracking standard within the hardware of the Studio. So no matter what application you're using, you'll get those smarts and that artificial intelligence bringing the users and the participants right into the meeting and the conversation in the meeting room. Let's look at the back of the device. You can see here mounting first. So we've got the tabletop mount that comes as standard with the device. And then we've got some wall mounting holes here and here where you can then drop that onto some screws and raw plugs on the wall if you want to wall mount it either underneath or above your display. We are looking at some additional mounting options, but you know, those are a future thing like Visa mounts and things like that. So connectivity wise, on the studio itself, we've got an RJ11, which is used for an external microphone. Now the microphones in the studio are exceptionally good, and the pickup range on them will fill, say, a very large room. But if you want that additional microphone, maybe with a mute button that you can have in the center of the table, you can run an optional accessory microphone from Poly to extend the microphone capabilities. We've then got the ability to have a line input into the studio. So this is where if you've got this hooked up to a screen, you can use this as an enhanced speaker soundbar for your display. So you run a standard 3.5mm cable from your display into the studio, and then that acts as your speaker system for your display. And then lastly on this side is the actual USB connection. So USB-C presentation of connector on the device, and in the box comes a 3-meter USB-C to USB-A cable to connect up to whatever laptop or Mac you may want to use in the meeting room. Now we always get asked about cable length, can I run a longer cable, can I run a shorter cable? It's not really down to the product, that's down to the USB standards that are out there in the market. So with USB 2 you can run up to a 5-meter cable, with USB 3 you can run a 3-meter cable. We've also looked at some of the USB extenders that are out there on the market, and we've also done some testing on some of those. So have a look in the data sheet, in the admin guide, and you'll find out which ones we've tested and which ones are supported, and you may also find others that will also work. If we swing the unit around, you can see the only other connection on this side, which is the DC barrel input. The device needs power. It's got a pretty beefy audio amplifier in there, which does need to be powered, as well as the camera capabilities on the device. So DC in, that power supply comes in the box, in the kit with the studio. Now the only other connectivity that you can't see on the device are its wireless capabilities. So there's two Wi-Fi capabilities or wireless capabilities of the studio. The first is Bluetooth. So with the Bluetooth, you can come into the meeting room with your mobile phone or cell phone for my viewers over there in North America, and you can pair your mobile phone, your cell phone to the studio and use it as your speakers and microphone for your mobile phone. So if you want to use it as an enhancement to bring your mobile into a small meeting room, you can hook up the Bluetooth capability. The other wireless capability on the studio is it's got Wi-Fi in it. Now, a lot of people get confused about the Wi-Fi capabilities. It's not a codec. As I've mentioned before, think of the studio as a USB webcam, and then it all makes sense. The Wi-Fi capabilities are to connect the studio into our management platform, and this is one of the real key benefits of the studio over and above the competition. The fact that you can register this to our free cloud management platform, free of charge, when you purchase a studio. Our cloud management platform, you can do software updates, look at analytics, and configure the devices from a management application. So if there's any software updates, if you want to check out or update any of the capabilities of the studio, you can centrally do that without having to go around every single room with a laptop or a USB stick to update them. There's also capabilities to register to our on-premise resource manager application as well, to be able to again manage them and do software updates, firmware updates and things like that. So that's what that Wi-Fi is there for analytics, reporting, for management and configuration of the device when you've got multiple devices deployed across your network. Here is the remote control that ships with the studio. It's a Bluetooth remote control. Now, a couple of quick hints and tips with the remote control. First one is when you get the studio out, you want to set the volume level, set it about midway, and then you can adjust it through your software application, and then turn group framing on. And then, to be frank, the best use of this remote control is to throw it away. You don't need it anymore because the studio has got all of the smarts built into it. It does the tracking, it does the framing, and you can control most of the other functionality through whatever software application you happen to be using on your laptop or Mac that's connected to it. So a couple of quick hints and tips with the remote control for the studio. One of the other nice features of the studio is the built-in privacy shutter. You can see it here. It is a mechanical hardware shutter in the device. Flick the shutter across and you know then that you're private and you're not worried about people eavesdropping into your meeting and seeing what you're doing. So the last thing I want to cover off with the studio is how it compares to the competition. Now, I'm not going to pick off any one specific competitor out there in the market, but I just wanted to highlight some of the real big features on the studio that we don't see from those competitive products. The first thing is the audio. As I've mentioned before, great speaker system and great microphone system that would way outfill a huddle room that the product is designed for. So really, really powerful audio output and really great microphone pickup. Second piece is that camera. Not only have we got that 4K sensor, 120-degree field of view, but we've got the smarts, the artificial intelligence, the group framing and speaker tracking built into the product itself. Now, there's no other product at this level that I know on the market that does that integrated into the solution. They all either need separate software applications that are quite slow, and obviously you have to install them on all the PCs that are out there. And then the third, and probably one of the real big features, is around the IP management. So the fact that you can deploy studios across your network and manage them via either the free cloud application that we bundle with the studio, or via an existing Polycom resource manager management platform. So you get all of the software updates, the reporting and analytics, and a lot more future capabilities that we'll be adding into that solution. So you don't have to go around every single room and update the software and manage the devices. So that IP management capability really sets it apart from the competition out there. So I mentioned at the beginning of the video that I was going to let you into a little secret. The secret is that I've been using a Poly Studio to record the video and the audio that you're seeing and hearing in this video. So not only is it a great solution for any of the video conferencing applications from the ecosystem partners out there in the world, but it's also a great solution for training videos, for corporate communication, or for just recording your own personal content on YouTube. So hopefully that's cleared up a lot of the confusion around the Poly Studio. Remember, think about it as a USB webcam. It's so much more than being a USB webcam, but that's the easiest way to understand its capabilities and connectivities and how it fits into your meeting room and your users and the way that they work. Now, if I've missed any questions off, please stick them in the comments section provided on YouTube. Give us a like and subscribe for more great content coming soon, and I'll catch you on the next one.